Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on this June 6, 2016 for another awesome edition of Raising Vibration Radio. I'm your host, Reverend Raven, and tonight we have a special guest with us who is an author and a host of his own radio show, David Clarke. Hello, David. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazingly awesome, and I'm so glad that you're here with us today to share your life with us, share your stories with us, and to share exactly what all you do. So you have your own radio show, right?
I do. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. It's called Different Strokes for Different Folks, and it's on Blog Talk Radio.
And can you tell us a little bit about that, what you do on your show?
Sure. Well, it's a spiritually themed show that contains an array of different guests. I mean, most of my people are spiritually gifted people. I have psychics and healers. I have ministers. I have a seer. I have internationally best-selling authors. I've had a movie star. I've had a national comedian on the show. And then I just have had folks, that have interesting stories to tell who don't have any particular claim to fame, but they lead very spiritual lives and have amazing stories. So it's a show about trying to find common ground so that one can relate instead of compare oneself to others. And it's all about opening your mind to the universal possibilities that are out there.
So what made you start a show like this?
Well, it's interesting. I wasn't pursuing a radio show. I was looking to guest on a show I'd been on before to promote one of my books. And this fellow, A.J. Mata, called me back and said, listen, I think you've got the material to do your own show. And I said, really? He said, just think about it. Think about what kind of a brand you could come up with, and I think that you could do a show. So that got the wheels turning, and I did a little bit of homework, and he helped me get going on Blog Talk Radio 3 years ago this November.
Wow. Something else I found very interesting with you, you guys have something called Free Spirit Broadcasting Network. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that is my own network where I store podcasts of shows for some colleagues of mine. Mary Blake is one of them. She does a show called Journals of a Healer. Diane Wing is one. She's an amazing spiritually gifted woman who's been a guest on my show. And there are several others, too. And it really is just a network to provide a little additional listening for people. So that's what that's about.
That is beautiful. I love what you did there. And so can anybody join your podcast broadcasting for the Meet Our Show hosts and stuff like that? I see that it says broadcast with us. If somebody was interested that was listening right now, what could they do to do something like that with you?
Well, they could contact my husband, who's the producer for the network, and his name is Rob. And they could call him at the following phone number, which is 315-399-5862, and we'd be happy to help them out.
Okay, great. Now, you have an interesting story yourself, don't you?
I do.
You do. I'd like to dive into that story, but first, one more question about your show. What do you bring to the game table on your own show?
Well, I bring my own brand of spirituality, which is very eclectic. It's based on years of investigating different religions, different New Age philosophies, and and it also has a lot to do with my own personal story, which involves recovery from multiple addictions. And I began the journey into 12-step recovery about 30 years ago, and that's what really got me going on the spiritual path.
Do you want to let's dive deeper into that? 30 years ago, you're a social worker, right?
I was at the time, and amazingly, even though I wasn't aware of it, the clients that were pushing my buttons the most were the ones that had the same issues that I was in denial about, meaning mental illness and chemical dependency. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs, and I later discovered that I had a bipolar disorder that I had been medicating with substances. Mm-hmm. And I'd experienced years of devastating depressions. Many of them were suicidal, but I did not have the flip side of the disease, which is a mania, until I'd stopped drinking. Right. What would happen is I would go through these periods where I was flying pretty high, and I would drink like a fish, and so that would keep the mania in check, so to speak, but it really concerned my then partner because he just could not handle the drinking behaviors.
How many relationships did you lose because of your disease?
I didn't lose any, but the disease had a tremendous impact on 3. I was married to a woman. Mm-hmm. Then I spent 24 years with a beautiful man, and I was the one that ended up leaving that relationship. It was not the disease that caused that breakup. It was me. And then I met another beautiful soul who I married 2 years ago. I met him 12 years ago, and we've been together ever since. But, each of those partners had to endure aspects of the disease when it was active, meaning both the mental illness and the sexual acting out behaviors, and the alcoholism's been in check for 28 years now.
I got you. When you said you were a sex addict as well, did you cheat on any of the partners that you had at any time?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was rampant. I realized I was a sex addict before I realized I was an alcoholic.
Right.
Because I thought that once I found a man and had a male lover, that these behaviors that I'd engaged in when I'd been with a woman would go away. And I couldn't remain faithful to him. It was almost as if I would prefer to act out anonymously with strangers than to be faithful to a partner. And that just ripped me apart. And I managed to hide the behaviors pretty well for some time. And, of course, when he became aware of them, it caused a tremendous amount of hurt. And, the thing about sexual addiction or any addiction is that guilt and shame really drives the disease. And it's not enough to have an awareness that you have a problem. You need to get help. And I thought I could do it on my own, and I think most people that are active in addictions think that they can handle it somehow, that they can manage the destruction, that they can find a way to get away from the behaviors. And I think most people, if they're honest with themselves, will realize that's not the case, that you really do need to get help. And that's what I did.
That's amazing. And two, with bipolar, it's hard to recognize that you need help.
Well, it is.
It is.
It's not hard to recognize you need help when you're severely depressed, although I always found it very difficult to reach out for help. I felt like it was a sign of weakness. And so I just white-knuckled some of these depressions. It was awful. But the manias, when they start, they're very seductive, and they make you feel good, quote unquote good, and you feel like you're on top of the world, and you have no understanding. I had no understanding that I needed help. Even having experienced a couple before that, when I had my last one, which was 2 years ago, I didn't want to get help for it. I was feeling good. I was full of energy. I was highly creative. I was producing a lot of writing, and everything seemed to be going very well until my life became very unmanageable, because as the mania takes hold of you, your life becomes very, very unmanageable and very fractured, and things like delusions creep in, paranoia. It's really a frightening situation to be in, and certainly is for those that love you too.
So you've written a couple of books. Are they, were they during all of this? Were you an author during all of this that you were going through, or has this come after the fact?
Before, during, and after.
Really?
Really. When I was full-blown manic, I could not write in a manner that would make sense to people. So I need to set the record straight on that. But in early mania, it's amazing how creative a person can be and what their output can be. And I've done some of my best writing in early mania. But I started writing, about 11 years ago. I started off writing my autobiography, trying to put the pieces together of a fractured life that was so much like a jigsaw puzzle. Mm-hmm. I had just led my life in all of these different compartments, and people that knew me in one arena didn't know me in another arena, and I was very careful to cover my tracks, so much so that even I had a hard time sorting through the pieces of my story. And when I finished writing that, I thought, what am I going to do next? And then I realized I developed all of these zany characters based around a naughty nun who likes her bourbon and her Marlboros, and the Reverend Mother's a reformed prostitute, and the convent chef is a gay cowboy. And I started to write the Sister Mary Olga Fortitude series. And there are 2 books that are currently out under a pen name, Davis Aujourd'hui. But I have gone in and done major revisions on those books, and I'm now in the process, after having gone through an editing process with the book, of pitching major agents, and I've already gotten a nibble. So I'm hoping that I'll have a very successful series to put out there, because I've written 12 books in the series.
So these characters are really splinters of you, different aspects in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. The gay cowboy is a self-described sex maniac. Sister Mary Olga Fortitude is a raging alcoholic, and all of the characters are dysfunctional and show the extent of human foibles that can manifest in anybody to greater or lesser degrees. And I try to use the gift of humor to get people to not take life so seriously, but at the same time to take a look at some of these characters' behaviors, and the ones that usually bother people the most are the ones that they might possess themselves, that they're going to have to take a look at.
That's a hard thing for anybody, is to take a real good look at yourself and see something that you might have to, work on, right? And that was a big step for you.
Absolutely. It was huge.
And when did the spirituality come into play with all this?
Well, I've had several spiritual awakenings along the way, but, I think that what happened is that when I became free from alcohol, I realized that there was a power greater than myself that could bring me back to a place of relative sanity. And then I had to peel through the layers of the onion to get at some of these other things. You know, the granddaddy of my addictions was the sexual addiction. And when I achieved freedom from that, I had another huge spiritual awakening and just felt this incredible release and this freedom that I'd never known before, because I just had not been able to control my sexual acting out behaviors. They were virulent, is the only way to describe it.
Were the sexual addiction, the physical aspect of it, did you thought that physical being connected with another human being was really love? Is that what you thought was going on when you were going through the addict portion of the disease?
No, that's not what I thought, but ultimately that's what I was looking for, and I just didn't realize it. It's just that I was looking for love in all the wrong places. It was already in my own backyard. But they say that sexual addiction is like an intimacy disorder, and people that have the disease just don't know how to be vulnerable with another partner. It's so frightening, and so that was one of the biggest challenges for me, was to be able to make myself vulnerable and to get honest and reveal who I truly was to my partners.
Wow, that takes a lot of courage too, to be honest and truthful about what's going on and facing that. That's a big hurdle to face.
It's a tremendous hurdle. It really is. There's no words to describe it.
So we fast forward. You wrote this book, that splinter of your different characters. By the way, how are you controlling your bipolar disorder?
Well, I take medicine for it, and it seems to be very effective. I don't know why I had a mania 2 years ago. That remains a mystery to me. You know, I talked to my psychiatrist about that, and he says, well, brain chemistry is still a mystery in the psychiatric profession. You know, these things can happen. And so that's concerning to me because, it is so devastating to lose control of your life like that. And it's so expensive in more ways than one. I mean, one of the things that happened to me is I got into compulsive spending and got heavily into debt and went through a tremendous amount of money. And that's really, really frightening.
Oh, yes, I know. I witness it. My fiance is bipolar too, and even though he's on medication, we go through manic mode still today. And one of the things is that he'll go out and spend money and doesn't even know where he spends it. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting when you're doing it, but when you have to take a look at where it went, that's not exciting.
No. So I have empathy for you and what you've been through, because I experienced, pretty much around here, we don't know. They're always adjusting. It's a good thing that you're more stable. They just recently had to go up on some medication for him because he was too depressive. Even though he took antidepressant medication, it was still being too depressive and sleeping a lot. So they've upped a different medication. But when they do that, there's little spouts of mania going on with it. So then there's all these discussions about what we're going to do, but then it falls short and we don't even do that. So.
Well, boy, that's a real challenge, isn't it? I know after my last mania, I have weathered some depressions. I haven't wanted to go back on antidepressant because I'm more concerned about going into a mania, which has happened to me 3 times. I seem to be on a 10-year cycle as far as that goes. And I was on antidepressants at the time that I had my last mania, and I haven't taken any since. but the depressions that I've experienced since then have been so mild in comparison. It's almost like a walk in the park compared to what I'd experienced before I was on any kind of mood stabilizers.
Right. And, I often wonder if there's, any natural pathic type of remedies for bipolar, but it seems like medication, which goes against my grain, but it seems like medication seems to be the best way to help with this disorder, disease of the brain, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I wish there was something. I'm sure there is out there, but I don't think they found it yet. I'll say one thing. Every time that I had a mania occurred when I was freed from an addiction. And I believe that what happened is my brain chemistry just went bonkers when I was released from self-medicating through addiction. And that's what really upset the apple cart for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to you and to your loved one that lives with you. Because sometimes it can be a adventure for them as well,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I am so grateful for the love and support that I've had from the people that I have had intimate relationships with, and my husband has really had to weather. He's had to weather 2 manias and several years of intermittent acting out. Because I did have some relapses along the way, and those are devastating, especially after you've had a period of freedom, to have a relapse and be back into it again and trying to figure your way out, which is not the way to get out of a relapse. It has nothing to do with figuring your way out of it. That's like a rat trying to go through a maze.
Mm-hmm. So back to your good news about you've rewritten one of your books, right? You revised it. Which one was that you just revised?
Well, what I did is I took the first 2 Sister Mary Olga Fortitude books, which were called The Misadventures of Sister Mary Olga Fortitude and Babe and Bucksnort, and they're combined into a new book, which isn't out yet, which is going to be called Misadventures in Bucksnort. And I also have a book out called Ockham's Razor Revisited, which is it's my memoirs, which are done according to theme, meaning recovering from severe homophobia, recovering from alcoholism, recovering from sexual addiction, and recovering from mental illness. And that I've revised, and I am going to be releasing a book called Think with Your Heart, which that will synthesize Occam's Razor Revisited, which I think is a little bit more fractured. And so a screenplay's been done on that, and even though the movie hasn't been made yet, the screenplay was a finalist at the Beverly Hills International Film Festival last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it because, your honesty and you putting forth, that you can overcome all of these addictions, that helps other people, to seek out.
It does. I think that it's important for people to speak out and let people know that there is hope and that you're not alone. So many addicts, especially sexual addicts, believe that they're the only people in the world because even though there has been some press around it, it's a lot more in the closet than alcoholism is, which is widely accepted as a disease. But you get into a process addiction like sexual addiction, that affects the brain's chemistry like crazy. It is just amazing when I get into that addiction, the way the adrenaline pumps through my system and the highs that I get are more powerful than any of the drugs that I've ever ingested.
Wow. And, and I can empathize with that because when I was younger, in my heyday before I got married and all that, I looked at, conquest of men, see how many can not, it is a, emotional, or it's like an endorphin high. Like there's this release in the brain that releases this endorphin and you feel really good about what you did at that time.
Yep. And then comes the flip side.
Yes. Yes.
That's not a pretty picture.
No, it's not. So, and I think that, people don't realize sexual addiction is just as strong as being an alcoholic or a drug user too, as well.
I think that it is much more difficult to recover from that than it is from alcohol and drugs. Not to diminish how difficult that can be, but it's easier to put down the substance than it is to give up something that can be a vital, life-giving energy like sex. Mm-hmm. And the thing goes, I think probably the most difficult addiction to deal with, which fortunately I haven't had, is food addiction, because you have to eat to live. But, these poor people that have overeating behaviors or the binging or the anorexia, all of that has got to be so painful and so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I can imagine that too. I have an aunt that's bulimic, and I had a great aunt that died from anorexia. So, and you find patterns in families where addictions like these take place. Did you find that in your own family?
It was hard to find in my family. There were a lot of secrets kept, and I did find it. It goes back a couple of generations, but there's a lot of denial in the family about that, and so I've kind of earned the badge of the black sheep of the family, and people don't want to take a look back farther at where the problem may have existed, But
right, but you coming here and putting a light to all of that in your family, though, is going to help future generations of your gene pool not to experience those things.
Right. I mean, you can nip the disease process in the bud, so to speak, but it certainly has a ripple down effect. I don't have children. If I did have children, they would be very predisposed to addiction, if they'd lived with an active addict or alcoholic. It's my understanding that if one of your parents is alcoholic, you have a 33% chance of becoming one yourself, and if both are alcoholic, your chances double.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
That is.
Now, the interesting thing about me and alcohol is that I can safely drink today, and I think that's because I never became a full-blown alcoholic. I drank alcoholically, but I was medicating the bipolar disorder, mm-hmm. and I enjoy a glass of wine now and then. I hate to be drunk, and I'll never have more than 2 glasses, so... It is possible for some people to drink safely, but I wouldn't stand up in the middle of an AA meeting and say that I drink, although a lot of my recovering friends know that I do.
Right.
So, yeah.
So here we are. You're doing your show. You've written these books, and congratulations on the nibble on getting it public. From a publishing company, because that's a big thing with writing books these days, is getting it published out there, not by your own undertaking, by a big company.
Yes, it is huge. Thank you.
So congratulations on that. I'm so happy for you.
I appreciate that.
That is really huge. So now you are giving back by having your show, and you're having these amazing guests on there, and you're giving back to people, and you're lighting the path for them to know that they're not alone.
That's right. That, I believe, is what it's all about. I think that service, being a service to your fellow quote-unquote man, is what it is all about. So many people go through their lives leading self-centered lives, and they never find true happiness for themselves. And I think you need to open yourself up and see what you can do to leave a mark in the world and be of help to your fellow man and woman.
So, I want to talk about, is one of your books, Different Strokes for Different Folks, is that one of your books or no?
No, that's the radio show.
That's the radio show. I thought that you had done a book called that. I think you totally should. I don't know why that came to me the other day.
Yeah, I will. Maybe I will.
think you should.
Let's see if I can. There are 4 books that are out there now. The 2 nun books that I mentioned, Occam's Razor Revisited, which is the precursor to Think with Your Heart. That's out there. That was published by Balboa Press, and that is my memoirs in a nutshell. The other book that's out there is called Shades of Gay, and that is a down and dirty look at what addiction can look like from the inside. That's very loosely based on 8 years of my life, and it's a story of a fellow named Daniel who is a raging alcoholic and sex addict, and he comes to a crossroads in his life where he has to make a decision on whether he's going to keep heading on this road that's leading into a deep abyss or take a higher road. And so that book is out there. That one was independently published. It was the first book that I did not self-publish, and that is available through Amazon.com, as are the other ones.
Right, and I will put these links on our Facebook page for you guys to have that. It's also, if you go to his website, you can have, there's links to where to purchase your books too, right from your website? Yes.
If they go to authordavidclarke.com, and Clarke is spelled with an E, there are links for all of the books.
So what do you call your writing process? You know, what kind of little quirky thing do you do, or does it come to you? Does it hit you, or do you have to be in a meditative state to write?
Well, for me, writing comes very easily. I almost feel as if I channel my books. They seem to come from another place. I don't have to think about where they're going. Of course, you know, with my own life story, that was a different story. That was putting the pieces together and coming up with dialogue based on scenarios that happened in my life. But for the novels that I've written, I don't sit down and plot out a storyline. I just let it evolve, and it goes where it wants to go, and it's such a joy. I really, really love it.
I envy you. I wish I don't have that capacity to sit down and write at all. I like to speak, but to sit there and write about it is a whole different ballgame for me.
Well, you never know unless you try.
I try. Trust me, I try. Do you follow like a regular routine? I mean, a normal day-to-day life kind of thing, and then it hits you that you need to sit down and write something, or do you make time to do it? Do you plan it out?
I try to write every day, and at present what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of revision work on books that I've already written. I haven't written a unique book in over almost a year, but I I do spend time writing every day, and some days it's just a couple of hours, and some days I'll write for 10 hours. It depends on how the spirit moves me.
I got you. So spirit motivates you to write when it comes.
Absolutely.
Do you ever experience writer's block?
No.
No. Good for you.
No. I feel really blessed around that. There are times when my writing is not as fluid as it is at other times, but I've never experienced writer's block. Knock on wood. Yeah.
So what kind of responses have you gotten back from people who read your books?
Most of them have been 5 stars on Amazon, which is the best rating you can get.
Has anybody written to you and said you really, helped them to change their lifestyle or anything like that?
I've had people that have said that have alluded to that. I think that they probably are people that have struggled with addiction themselves and have said that my books were very inspiring and that they're looking forward to more of them, and that they believe that they're this would be the books on like Shades of Gay, which is about addiction, or Ockham's Razor Revisited.
I find it interesting. You said you were married to a woman in the beginning, and then you've married a man, right?
Yes.
What was the flip there? I mean, were you denying your true sexual identity at first?
Yes, I was. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I married in 1978. I was always afraid that I was gay, but I just didn't know any gay people, and I bought into the stereotypes that were prevalent at the time, and I could not relate to what I heard. And so I thought, that's not me. That can't be me. And I couldn't understand why it was that I would fall in love with women and want to have sex with, males. Mm-hmm. And I repressed my homosexual desires for a long time, and it wasn't until shortly after I became engaged that I acted out with a man for the first time. And it wasn't until I developed a crush on a man that the light bulb went off that I might be gay. I thought it was just something that I did before I developed this crush, and so I realized I had to be honest with my then fiancée and let her know that she was involved with a gay man. And this was like a month before we were going to get married. And we just cried buckets, and we didn't know what to do. She told me that she could accept me being sexual with men as long as I didn't fall in love with them, and I had withheld the piece that I'd had a crush on somebody. And I said, well, of course, I can do that. A little more denial. And eventually I did fall in love with somebody, and she became aware of that, and that was the end of that marriage. And then I met my...
Well, hold on a second. So she accepted you. What did she do? She had desires and wants and needs too, as well. What did she do?
We were sexual with each other, but she was not. She didn't want to She did not want to participate in a totally open marriage, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it really was hell for both of us, because what she said was not really what she felt.
Right.
And when I was sexual with other people, she would become aware of that, and I would feel awful because I could tell she was hurt. And so it really was not a happy situation at all.
And how long did you guys keep this up for?
We we were just living together as husband and wife for a little bit over a year. It was a couple of years after that when the divorce went through. But I was the one that asked her for a divorce 2 years after we got married. I just felt like it wasn't fair to her to entertain any hopes that we could reconcile in any fashion that would lead to a happy life.
Wow. And that was scandalous for the time, too, a divorce back in those days, right?
Well, we're now talking about 1982 or thereabouts.
Oh, 1982. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
I thought
wasn't...
we were talking about the early 70s.
No.
I'm trying to make you older than you are. Never mind.
I don't go back quite that far, but I'm starting to feel my age.
You and me both, right?
I don't look my age, but I'm starting to feel it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I got the gray hair to prove it, man.
Oh, you don't color your hair then?
No, I'm not putting any chemicals on this hair because it'll soak through the scalp and get into the blood-brain barrier, and it can mess around with you just don't want those chemicals going on.
Well,
at all.
Oh, I hear you, and I don't color my hair, although a lot of people think I do. I just am blessed with hair color that's staying for whatever reason, and I'm in my 60s now.
Good for you. Good for you. I love it, and I think you should honor whatever gray hair you have. I'm 48, and I earned every gray hair that's on my head, so I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. It's mine.
Well, I've earned the ones that I've had too. I'm surprised I'm not totally white by now.
Well, if you pull up the undercoat, mine's totally white underneath. It's just the illusion that I'm still kind of young looking.
I love it. Love it.
So, anyway, I wanted to ask you some questions for recovering alcoholics or addictions and stuff like that. That might help some people that are listening to this. If they give up their addiction, do you think they'll find more time for their life when they do give up addictions? Like their life's going to be a lot happier.
Oh, it's amazing what can happen. The doors that can open, the freedom that you feel. People that live lives in addiction shut themselves off from so much experience, and I know, speaking for myself, many of the things that I used to enjoy doing when I was younger, just slipped away. I let them go, and I spent so much time involved in the addictions, and I have reclaimed a lot of that. And of course, I've developed new interests like the writing, which I'd never dreamed I would do. And so it's really has opened new doors for me, and I just want to let people out there know that you can have a happy, healthy life, but there's nothing to fear. It's not easy, but you can do it. All it takes is determination and willingness and honesty and open-mindedness.
I got a question for you, because this is something that Unity Service or AA would ask people. Do you find that you're less shy with people now that you come out of your addiction and you're no longer in it anymore?
Well, yeah. The thing is, I was not shy when I was drinking. But
right? I mean, really, when I drink, I'm not shy. I'm like, hello, how are you?
I was basically an introvert, though, without booze in me. I would have to really, really put on a facade to do some of the jobs that I did back in the day. But, I think a lot of it had to do with the secret keeping and the effect that it had on my self-esteem. I just didn't feel like I was a valuable person. I didn't feel worthy. Earlier in my life, I thought I was perverted and evil and that I was a sinner and going to go to hell. All of these things, they just really took a toll on my sense of self-worth. And now that I'm free from these behaviors, I just feel like I'm who I'm supposed to be, or that I'm becoming who I'm supposed to be. And I never had that opportunity before.
Right. Did you go to church when you were younger?
I did. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, but I stopped.
You got scared the hell out of you quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I stopped going when I came out. I felt like there was so much hypocrisy in the Christian church at the time that I didn't want to align myself with it anymore. I since have come back to the church, and I do that just as, and I don't know how to explain it, because I could live without religion. I consider myself a spiritual person, and I believe that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience who, as I say at the end of my show, can and will have a spiritual experience if we let it be. But I do go to church now because I find comfort from the music. I like the messages. I don't profess to be a Christian, but I do go to a Christian church.
Oh, cool. What type of Christian church do you go to?
It's the United Church of Christ, and for years I'd gone to a Unity church, and I really liked that a lot. There seemed to be a lot of recovering people in Unity churches, and that's what attracted me to that particular church. And I like the fact that they believe that all spiritual traditions are equally valid, and they don't go out and say that Jesus is the only Son of God, that we're all God's children, and I like that message too.
Oh, me too. Me too. I love it because I just believe we're all one, and you're just an extension of me.
That's right. Absolutely. We're just unique expressions of the ultimate source of our beings.
Exactly, and we're just playing. Whatever we choose, whatever playpen we choose to play in that day, that's all we're doing is playing.
That's right. You got it.
Yes.
And hopefully we're playing nice.
Right? There's lots of times in my life that I went to 15 different churches growing up because my parents didn't make me go to church. So when I got to be a teenager, I wanted it, well, I guess a preteen, about 12, 11. Of course, there was a cute guy going too, so that kind of made towards the reason I wanted to go to some of them. But there, it was interesting exploring the different types of churches that were out there, especially being in the South, in Tennessee and Kentucky, and experiencing the Southern Baptist religion and the Church of Christ and the Methodists and all the different doctrines that were out there. And I got baptized in all these different churches. And some of my thoughts that I used to have, I thought I was going to go to hell just for having the thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I thought I was an awful person for some of the thoughts that I had in my life.
Thoughts are powerful.
Yes.
I talk about that a lot on my show. I mean, it all begins with a thought, and it's what we do with the thought that is important. And, I think it's so important to remain aware so that we can have a little more conscious control over what goes through our brain instead of that idle chatter, and to recognize when we're casting judgments against other people or ourselves, because we usually are our own worst enemies. I think that language is very important too, that we need to maintain very affirmative, uplifting language, that we need to remain positive, because I do believe in the law of attraction, and I've been told there are many other spiritual laws, and I believe it to be true, like the law of honesty, the law of integrity. There are a lot of different things that we need to keep in mind.
So anybody that's listening to this show that might come across it and they have an addiction, what is the first step they need to do for themselves?
Well, I think that they need to take a hard look at what is happening in their life. And if they're unhappy, then I think they need to recognize that there is something out there that can help them generate feelings of well-being, and that it's not going to come from whatever they put into their body, however they may act out. There's so many different ways. We can do compulsive spending, gambling, overeating, religious addictions, exercise addictions, you name it. There's so many ways that we can attach ourselves to so-called pleasures that are going to leave us feeling empty ultimately, because the only thing I believe that can fill us up is spirit. And so if somebody can at least take stock of themselves and recognize that they're not truly happy, then the next step would be to find a program that could help them. And there are 12-step programs, and I'm a great proponent of 12-step programs, at least as a starting point. There are 12-step programs for virtually every known addiction out there.
Oh, yes.
And, just in the realms of sexual addiction, I could name 5 different programs.
Yes, and I can remember as a child going to Overeaters Anonymous with my Aunt Sandy, the one that has bulimia, and having to stand up. I'm 12 years old, and I'm normal weight at that point, going, "Hi, my name is Sandy, and I'm an overeater." And my grandmother, she went too, and she would stand up, and this is what she would say. She'd go, "Hi, my name is Edna, and I live with a bunch of overeaters."
Well, good for her. I refuse to identify myself as an addict. And I'm sure that I raise a lot of eyebrows in programs when I go. I'm not going to say what 12-step program I go to for sexual addiction, because we're supposed to remain anonymous at the level of press, radio, and film. And, of course, I've broken my anonymity around alcoholism. But I think that most people are accepting of that these days, and I don't feel the slightest compunction about doing that. But I go into a 12-step meeting, and I'll say something like, I'm a former sex addict who is a free spirit. I like to get something affirming in there. Recently, given that I got into some compulsive spending, I'll go so far as to say I'm recovering from compulsive behaviors. And, of course, the sexuality piece was very compulsive.
So you don't identify as being that. You just say, I'm recovering from an action that I recently had.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that to continue to identify yourself as a sex addict only it's like a disaffirming statement. That's not who I am today. That's who I once was. But I go into meetings and I hear people saying, I'm so-and-so and I'm a sex addict, and it makes me want to cringe because I think it's very limiting.
Right. Okay, so what about people that, let's say AA, we all know that's AA, what it is. So the people join AA and they haven't had a drink in God knows when, forever, and stuff like that. Do they really need to continue going to an AA meeting for the rest of their life? Because you have to get up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic, but they're not because they're not drinking anymore.
Right. Well, there are two schools of thought around that. I say you don't need to. Many people in the program say you stop coming, you're going to have a relapse. And, I think AA is a wonderful, wonderful blueprint for leading a spiritual life, but I don't believe it's necessary to keep going once you've found recovery.
Right. I mean, because, okay, like for somebody that's really overcome, wouldn't you feel like I believe in energy and stuff like that and the vibrations and everything. If you kept going hanging out with, those people that are just relapsing all the time and going to these meetings, would you not pick up on their energy and end up doing the same thing?
Well, I don't know about that. But I think that it does disturb the vibrations. There's no question about that. The thing that I think is probably most important about continuing to be a presence in meetings is to be able to offer your experience, strength, and hope to other people who are just coming in. Because if everybody left the program, then you'd only have people that were still struggling in the program, and you wouldn't have people that are demonstrating that they've achieved a degree of freedom and that they're leading happy lives filled with promise. And so, there's an argument to be made both ways. I just think that some people, it's my perception and my opinion, that some people become addicted to 12-step programs and continue to go to them ad infinitum when they don't really need to, because life is happening outside of those meeting rooms. It can be a very insular place. And I'm sure I'll catch a lot of flack around that, and I don't care.
No, I agree with you, but you're right. The people that have made it through the program are successfully beating their addictions. They should give back to that community that helped them. But at what point do you stop? At what point?
Yeah. Well, I think that's an individual decision, and for some people, continuing to go to AA meetings, if that's what feeds them, and maybe that's their main spiritual vehicle as opposed to church, so be it. But for me, I believe that my church is wherever I'm at, and whether it's a meeting, whether it's church, whether it's my radio show, my writing, my fellowship with friends, communing with nature, meditating, it's all church to me.
Yes, I agree with you. Just being outside in nature is church itself.
Yes.
Yes, feeling that energy. So, your radio show, what nights is the radio show on?
Okay, it's on Thursday and Friday nights at 7:30 Eastern Time. And if people want to find out some of my upcoming guests, I'm booking for January at present, so I have a full schedule. But I've got my shows logged through the beginning of August, and people can go to blogtalkradio.com/author David Clarke, spelled with an E, and they'll see my upcoming shows, and they also can look at the library of the archive shows, the podcasts.
Beautiful. So who are some of your guests you have coming on?
Well, let me take a look and
You're
see.
better than me that you're booked up all the way till January, because I'm only booked up through August 14th or something.
Well, this is in a very unusual set of circumstances. I never booked more than a month or two in advance, and then I ran an ad, and I got about 60 or 70 responses, and I had to fill in the schedule the best I could, and I am booking for January now.
Well, you go. Look at you.
Yeah. Well, I have an amazing woman who's a regular guest on my show by the name of Ada Marie. She calls herself the Golden Oracle, and she's a healer and a seer. She's a channeler. Her grandmother was a seer for the court of England, and Ada Marie saw the Berlin Wall coming down before it happened. She saw the Twin Towers coming down before it happened. I have so many people that call in and have the privilege of talking with her. And if anybody wants to talk to the guests on my show, I encourage them to call in before 7:30, because if you don't, there's a good chance you won't get to be on the air. I have Dr. Mary Lou McIntyre on in June. She reads the Akashic Records. I have Chris Alexandria, who's a wonderful angel card reader. And then I have a marvelous Australian psychic by the name of Kat Edwards, who's going to be on June 24th. And she's a clairvoyant medium. And, I have a lot of mediums on my show. I just had a fantastic one, her first show with me on Friday, Bernadette Dickinson. I have had Danyan on my show a couple of times. I have a fellow by the name of Leo Bonomo from England, who just gives cold readings. He asks people not to say anything to him. He just starts off and he'll say, I see somebody, and he'll describe this person and ask the individual that he's giving the reading for if they recognize him. And so he gives messages to people from the other side, from their loved ones, and it's really amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. A cold reader.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Neat. Oh. I like that. That's really cool. So every Thursday and Friday evening around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
Or daylight time, whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Yep.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is. That's right. So,
yeah.
and so you are able to take hear me. Hello?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me good.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I lost it for a minute.
No, I was just quickly going back to the website to see if I could call back in. No, I'm still here.
Okay, great. We're still, it's detecting, I am in the middle of a storm, so it probably just reconnected us all again, with the tropical storm down here. So we are still here broadcasting. Yay, no biggie, awesome. It's
all
probably
right.
my cable. So we asked people to call in to ask questions too, but tonight they just seem to be listening. If you guys have any questions, we have a chat room here. I know can you see what we do online? Are you at your computer and stuff? Because we have your picture up here right now.
I'm at my computer, but let's see. I've got to go back to Raising Vibrations Radio here. Okay, now, what should I do?
See the calendar on the right-hand side?
Yep.
Hit June 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And that should take you to the show page right there.
Okay.
And then click join Raising Vibration hosted by Reverend Raven, that button.
Yep.
And then click, just listen
do I
in.
Put your name in there?
You don't have to put your name. It's okay.
Oh, okay. All right. My computer's being slow. Okay. Whoops, my connection was interrupted. Let's try this again.
So anyway, do any of you guys in the chat room have a question that you'd like to ask David that I may have missed or anything like that? We are here to take any questions. If you guys can think of anything that I may have missed, because God knows I can ask all kinds of crazy questions. It takes them a minute to type, so we'll see if anybody's going to respond to that.
Okay. Now, I'm here, and it says, how do you want to join this class or show? What should I do now?
Just listen in, just the speaker mode.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And everybody's saying hi, guest. Can you see in there?
I can see him there.
Yeah, see, that's your picture right there. The neat thing about this recording format is we have a chat room. You're able to change the presentation mode in the center and stuff like that. So if you can do this by listening on the internet. You could use a headset like I'm doing right now. When you talk on Blog Talk, do you use a headset or do you do a telephone?
Just do it through the telephone.
I gotcha. I love the headset because it leaves my hands free because I don't know about you, but my hands are always waving in the air and stuff like that while I'm talking constantly. I'm a hand talker.
Nothing wrong with that. That's good.
So I love the capabilities of like talking through the headset and stuff like that. I love this format. Even though it's through my website, it's powered by IntuiTalks, which is a spiritual network, which allows people to connect with each other and stuff like that. So it opens up a whole new platform for you.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, you'll have to check it out. It is really awesome. Really, really awesome. And if I had time earlier, which I didn't because I was procrastinating and stuff like that, on your picture there would have been links. We have a person that does that, that puts links on the picture so that they can hit your picture, the link, and go right to your website.
Okay.
So I will do that before it's all over with. I just didn't get to play around with it today.
Oh, not a problem. No, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Of course, it's all listed on the show page too as well. You can hit up David's website at www.authordavidclarke.com to get to that information. And there's all kinds of things on his website. And you do spiritual coaching. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I work with people that want to find a more vibrant life for themselves. And, some of them come from backgrounds like mine, but a lot of people just are looking to lead a fuller life, and they don't have a clue as to how to do it. So I work with them a lot around thoughts and language. I believe that, we are what we think, and we are what we say, and we are what we do, but it all begins with the thought. And so I think it's very important for people to take time each day to center themselves and to meditate, whatever works for them. I mean, there's so many different ways of meditating, and one of my favorite ways is just to be in nature and just to find a vehicle where I'm letting go of that constant chatter of thoughts that goes through my brain when I'm not being conscious. And so, I have been doing spirit life coaching for several years now, and I really enjoy it. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it.
That's nice. On your coaching, okay, so let's go back to the wording, the positive words and everything like that. What is one thing you teach them to catch themselves from their negative self-talk?
Well, I think that it's important for people to journal, to get an idea of exactly what that negative self-talk is, because so many of us just lead unconscious lives, and we have no idea what we're doing to ourselves, how we're beating ourselves up, and it can be very subtle. And so I think journaling is a great tool to start to get in touch with whatever is going through our brains. So that would be one of the first tools I would encourage them to use.
And so they start journaling, and then you tell them to read what they wrote, or yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I got you. I guess that's a hard one right there for most people. The negative self-talk. to me, I almost have to sometimes put a recording to because I don't like to write. I'll be honest with you. Writing for me is just it's like being in English class again. Did you like English class?
A lot of that can happen in a coaching session. I can catch people on that. But in order to really get in touch with it, I think that journaling is really something that people need to sit down and do. Not to be concerned with what they're putting down on paper. It's not like you're writing a book. You're just writing down whatever thoughts come to mind without any judgment. Just put down whatever happens on that piece of paper and then take a look at it and see what your stream of consciousness is like. I think it's a really invaluable tool for getting in touch with your internal dialogue.
I agree with you. For me though, it's a tape recorder for me.
Well,
I can go back and listen to it.
Sure, you can do that too. That's a marvelous idea. I used to dictate my progress notes, and the tape recorder was a lifeline.
Yes, I happen to love it, but I see where journaling is too, because sometimes you would forget to hit the record button and stuff like that, and journaling is a great way. It's just that there's that stigmatism for me, going back and going, oh my gosh, this reminds me of being in, English class, and I really didn't care for English all that well.
Well,
it could be because I had a hearing problem too, so...
Hey, well, that's the thing. We different strokes for different folks, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love your ideas though, and I love what you're doing, and I'm amazed by your guests that are going to be coming on your show. I mean, it's just, and the fact that you're open and honest about your life and taking the time and sharing that with us tonight, that means the world to me, because because you don't know who will listen to this and go, wow, really, that person did that and look what they've done, how big of a help that can be for one individual, just one.
Well, that's the thing. That's the way I look at it. If I can just touch one person and they can touch another person, it's like a domino effect. That's all it takes, is starting with one. And, I'm reaching more and more people as time goes on, which is wonderful. But, we're all in it together, as you say. We ultimately are all one. And if we keep it to ourselves, then nobody's going to benefit,
Exactly. Now, now that you've come to full circle, and you have, your life seems to be going in order and stuff like that, do you have setbacks that occasionally happen to you?
Well, I have periods where I feel a little discouraged and frustrated, and I've had to learn to live with and experience emotions that I used to consider uncomfortable, that I used to self-medicate, like sadness and anger and fear, all of the different human emotions that have a negative charge to them. I would immediately run to have sex and escape. And so, I'm learning to live with what's real and to coast through them without ignoring them. But I keep reaching, as Esther Hicks says, I keep reaching for consistent moments of joy. And so if I find myself starting to slip from that place of joy, I just start climbing the ladder. And some people will fall all the way off and go right down into that deep, dark well of depression, and you can't get to the top of the ladder in a single leap. So you just have to keep reaching for the next best thought, feeling, or action. And action, I think, is such an important word, because it's the actions that can help us feel better about ourselves. If we do things like take a walk or help somebody else, things like that can get us out of ourselves and make us feel better.
Well, too, also, it's great to have the unconditional love and support that you have in your life right now, too. That helps a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've had to work to find that. This is a family disease, and it affects everybody. And we've all had to recover. Meaning, me and my partners have had to recover and do work on themselves too, because addicts. Water rises to its own level, so to speak, and sick people find other sick people, and everybody needs to work on their own stuff.
Mm-hmm. I got you. And so that was one of the gifts that Spirit brought to you, was connecting to those people that had the unconditional love and to help you with your healing process.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. And it's true. And then you have to continue working on that. I mean, not just for anybody with an addiction or anything like that. It's for everything. If you want to be in that positive mode and that leaving that negative self-talk, or, and I love that you like Esther Hicks. I like her too.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to her. I haven't listened to her in a while, but she's amazing. But you're right. You have to put yourself out there in the field, into the category of hooking up with those people, and matching your vibrational pool. So, if you feel like you're around sick people, if you're talking about your own disease or your own illness or whatever, you're right. You're going to attract in more people with illnesses. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Misery loves company, right?
Yeah, that's right. You need to stick with the winners and find people that are good role models, that are happy with their lives, that have positive methods of dealing with life challenges. There are no mistakes, everything that comes our way is just a learning opportunity. And so it's important to keep in mind people, places, and things, and stay with people that are positive.
I agree. I feel blessed for everybody that has crossed my path the last few years, and I'm just so thankful that they're there, because being in their energy, whether it's writing or talking or whatever, I feel blessed because they always raise my vibrations. So,
mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful that you came on the show tonight. It was a true blessing.
Well, I'm honored and delighted that you asked me. Really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I just had a blast with it all. I pretty much, you pretty much answered all my questions that I had this evening. If I left anything out that you want to share right now, we got about 12 minutes left on the show. Please be my guest and share anything you'd like to share, because, you're just a wealth of information.
Well, I think that it's important for everybody to recognize that you can't go from A to Z in a single step, just like you can't get from the bottom of the ladder to the top in a single leap unless you're Superman. And so I think the most important thing for people to do is to be gentle with themselves and to recognize that whatever they have done in their past is in their past, and that their future is something that they can create for themselves. And it really is a matter of staying as present to the moment as you can and just putting one foot in front of the other and taking the next best thought, action, or feeling and moving forward. And if you slip and you fall back, just pick yourself up and move forward again, and don't beat yourself up. Always be gentle with yourself and look around you for people that inspire you. Stay away from people that are negative. I think that a lot of times people that have been in addiction have found themselves in circles of people that are unhealthy to be with, and they need to break those ties. As painful as it is, they need to do that. And so it really is a journey, and I can't begin to say or to underscore the importance of coming to love yourself, and affirmations are a great tool for that. Working with a sponsor if you're in a 12-step program. You don't have to do it alone, and don't do it alone because you're not going to get there unless you reach out for help. You need to be humble. So those are just a few of the things that I'm thinking of at the moment that I wanted to share with people.
I love it. And so, I again, tell them how they can get in touch with you. And is your radio program listed on your website?
That's a very good question. I don't know that it is. Again, it's blogtalkradio.com/author David Clarke with an E. And if you go there, it will give you the call-in numbers. It will show you the upcoming shows. It shows you all the shows that are archived. So that's a good question. I'll have to check that one.
Actually, it is. I just checked it out. So under David Clarke, there's radio interviews. There's a little icon button that you can click. It'll take you right over to Blog Talk, and it has the list of upcoming guests that are going to be on the show. So you can also follow him so you can get an email for information and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also it has on there too how to get his books, and check those out and stuff. And when you have your first published book come out, I'm going to buy one, and we're going to set up another time on here, and we're going to give away that book that night, a signed copy.
Oh, that sounds great. I'd love to do that.
Yes, we're going to have fun.
I'd love to do that. That's going to be Misadventures in Bucksnort, folks, followed by Think with Your Heart.
Yes, I'm going to love it. And, there really is a Bucksnort, right?
In Tennessee, yes.
Yes, there is.
That's where I grabbed the name. I thought, what a wonderful name for a town.
Yes.
So I set my Bucksnort in Wisconsin, and I Googled that, and there's even something Bucksnort there. It's not the name of a town, but there is a Bucksnort associated with Wisconsin, too.
Oh, my goodness. Loretta Lynn lives out of Bucksnort, Tennessee, or she did at one time.
Oh, bless her soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. And again, if you guys would like more information on our guests, you can just go to www.authordavidclarke.com, and the link to his radio show is there. The books are there. And do you have any closing words you want to share with our guests tonight, David?
I'd just like to say that no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, you're not alone. There are others that have done the same things and even worse. And you are a blessed child of God. And God only wants what's good for you. And ultimately, you are nothing but good. Leave the past behind.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I love that message. It was beautiful. All right, everyone. Well, we're gonna end the show. Did you have something else you want to say, David?
No, honey. I just wanted to thank you again.
Oh, I'm the one that should be thanking you. You're a beautiful guest. I love your energy. I can't wait for you to come back on here, and we're going to play and give away a book and all that stuff in the near future when you get time and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And you guys be sure to check out his show Thursday and Friday nights on Blog Talk Radio. And we'll be back here next Monday night, and we're going to have a great show then too as well. You guys have a wonderful week. I'm sending you lots of love and energy, and I'm sending you lots of love too, David. You're amazing.
Thank you. Back at you, sweetheart.
All right. Good night, everyone.